It's the most magical day of your life. You've invited all of your closest friends and family. You feel your most beautiful. You're marrying the love of your life. And all you had to do was refinance your home and take out a high-interest loan to pay for it. Today, we're talking about how the wedding industry squeezes its customers and why people get totally ripped off. Hello, I'm Dr. Aviva Philipp-Muller. I'm a consumer psychologist and professor of marketing, and I'm here to talk about the marketing behind the stuff you encounter every day. If that's something you're into, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Now, if you've gotten married in the last couple of years, or if you're about to get married, then chances are your wedding cost about the same amount as a mid-size SUV. The average wedding costs around $30,000 now, a number that keeps ballooning every single year. Now, of course, certain things like venue rentals, food, flowers are all going to cost money. But somehow weddings a generation ago cost a lot less, as in only a couple of $1,000s for a similar sized affair. So what's going on here? Now let's start with the least cynical reason. People love love, and they love to see their loved ones happy. The beloved of someone that I love is also someone that I love. And so, of course, your friends and family are going to want to come together to celebrate you and your love and your relationship. And there's something kind of beautiful about your community coming together to support you or convince you or peer pressure you into throwing a big bash. It's a lot better than the alternative, your friends and family hating your future spouse and trying to sabotage your relationship. Now, assuming that you want to have a wedding, how is it that people end up selling their plasma in order to afford it? Well, norms can be very powerful when it comes to weddings, and it can feel almost impossible to break from tradition and just do your own thing. Is everyone else doing a beautiful tiered wedding cake? Well, you don't want to be the one weirdo who does a sheet cake. And this is because descriptive norms, or rather what everyone else is doing, can be very powerful when it comes to influencing behavior. Because when we're unsure of what to do in a social situation, we look around to others and see what they're doing and follow their lead. So is everyone else renting a photo booth? Well, I guess I'm renting a photo booth. Even if you have really strong preferences, it can be hard to go against the grain because you risk judgment from others for your wedding choices. People can be very judgmental when it comes to wedding choices. We all have that aunt who will think, oh, you didn't serve hors d'oeuvres at your reception? Did you also kick each guest in the shins and then run away giggling? And while people don't want to have literally a cookie cutter wedding, they also don't want to have a wedding that's too unique either. And even if you think that you're having a really unique and different wedding, it's probably still a cookie cutter wedding. It's just a different, quirkier cookie cutter. And so things like serving a naked cake, or a bride wearing running shoes, or choreographing a flash mob dance may feel really unique and different until you go on Pinterest and see all the other couples doing the exact same thing. And this happens because people don't want to actually be a total weirdo. They may want to let their freak flag fly, but only if there are other people also getting behind that freaky flag. And this is because of optimal distinctiveness theory, which states that people want to be unique or distinct, but not so unique that they don't still have a community of people around them. So people want to have a wedding that has a few unique personal touches, like all the guests drink out of mason jars, but not so totally out there, like all the guests drink out of a communal dog bowl. And on the opposite end of the spectrum from uniqueness is default options. The default option is the option that gets selected if you don't yourself make any choice. And if you're someone who finds making decisions or choices stressful, then having default options available is great and saves you headaches. The wedding industry is filled with default options. The default for what to wear is a wedding dress. The default dessert is a tiered cake. The default decoration is flowers. And the wedding industry is well aware of all of these defaults. They have worked hard to publicize them. Not to put anyone on blast here, but if you've been perusing the pages of Brides magazine lately, then you will see these default options plastered across their pages. And so of course the default option is going to be the most expensive because it's the most high in demand, because it's pretty straightforward to just go down your checklist and pick the default option for everything. It takes a lot more effort and time to not choose the default option because you have to take on the mental load of making each decision individually, doing your research and seeking out alternatives. If I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on flowers, then what am I going to hold while walking down the aisle? Am I going to hold a bouquet of dried flowers? Am I going to hold a bouquet of asparagus? Should I just chop off my hands and then I don't have to deal with the awkwardness of not knowing what to do with my hands? And if I make these decisions, will people judge me for them? Do I care? As you can see, it's a lot easier and more straightforward to just go with the default option for everything. Vendors can also manipulate the default options. They often choose things that are more expensive as the default options because they know that many couples will just select those by default. For example, a lot of caterers will choose more expensive dishes and linens as the default options because they know that couples have so many choices to make that they're not going to spend the time needed to debate what plates or napkins to go with. Finally, all of this is made so much worse by the Instagramification of weddings. So many couples post about every detail of their wedding down to the last cufflink and party favor on Instagram. And I don't think anyone should feel guilty about this, but it does mean that we're inadvertently putting pressure on each other to keep up with the Joneses. Seeing other couples' weddings posted about on Instagram or Pinterest sets a norm for what the wedding aesthetic looks like. And so if you closed your eyes for a moment and pictured what your prototypical wedding looks like, it probably doesn't look too different from the Instagram for Brides magazine or any other wedding vendor. It probably doesn't look like a wedding in a rec center with silicone wedding bands and mismatched dishes, even though those would be perfectly reasonable choices and would save you a lot of money, but they just don't fit with the Instagram aesthetic. And the wedding industry doesn't want you thinking outside of those aesthetic defaults. Because so long as you think of the most expensive options as the default that all the normal people are doing as reflected on social media, the more likely you are to shell out the cost of doing an MBA on your wedding. Any creative cost-saving ideas you've seen from other people in their weddings or from your own wedding? Let us know in the comments. And as always, I will see you in the next video.